to Avant 3 on the FTOG server. In the last episode, we set up this simple-ish integrated dynamic setup for controlling the redstone signal going into the planters for various magical crops. And I said in that episode that I actually wanted to do something much more complicated, and I contacted the developers to find out how to do it, and they've since got back to me. So I thought I'd do this episode just to cover off the differences, but it does mean, of course, pulling out most of what's here. So let's get started. So first thing I'll show you is that it is working quite well. We have got the 128, I think it was, we put on there, wasn't it? And if we look into this one, and go down here, it should have 257. So it's working quite well, and it's the same with all these. They've all got the 128 or more. And so it's been working reasonably well, and we can make quite a few resources. If I take something out, it'll then make some more. And I think last time I checked, there is a whole bunch of stuff still waiting up here to be harvested, which is awesome. However, as I said, what we're going to do is I have to rip all this out, or a lot of it out. Hopefully it will be a more expandable system, but it will take a little more setup initially. So I'll be back once I've pulled everything out. Okay, so I've taken most of the chests and dynamic circuits out. The only things I've left in place are the redstone riders, because they will remain in place, because I still don't quite know how to automatically pull a sprout out of the planting inventory. But I've taken the rest of those out. Some of the chests have gone, and I need to place an inventory reader. This one here is probably good enough. Stick that there. I need to put some cabling in, which I put that away. Stick there. And of course we need to set this guy up to be read from. First thing I do is label it properly. And here, label. We will call the first one call it input chest, just to make it easy to understand. We're reading it back later, and I use $sign as a variable, just because it's common to the language that I normally write in. Now you see I put an elevator in here, very helpful for getting up and down, and it's in a separate color system to the main one going between the areas. Which does mean, of course, it's a direct flow up and down to here, and back. Okay, so what we need to do first is we've got our inventory reader, which we're calling input chest. We want to make it integer. And this is the number we want to look for. So let's say we want to have 60 in the chest at one time. Now, unfortunately, this works per slot, so we can't say more than 64, or we can't say more than 128, because we only get back a slot which will only contain one stack. I'm not going to go into the magic of trying to work out total in the inventory, because that will be quite difficult. But we'll call this guy 60. We need to give it a variable card. We also need to make the more harder parts. So, because this is a list, we're going to need to make some functions to apply to it. These are called operators. As you see here, we have an operator, and we're looking for greater than. So greater than takes an integer and returns a boolean. So we'll place it into there, and we'll give it a name, op greater than. That's all we'll call it, just op greater than. Put these down here. It's just an operator, it does nothing at the moment. we apply it to the list later on, and we'll also need to make a one for item size. That one there, and we'll call it op item size. Put that there, take it out, put it there. And what that does is it looks at an item, you give it an item, and it returns the size of that stack. So for example, later on, we're going to go for each item in the chest and say how many items are in that slot. Hopefully at some point I'll be putting something on the screen to make this much more understandable. And that does the basics for our operator. So we've got two functions there effectively. One to return the size of a stack, and the other one to return if it's greater than another number. Now the next thing we need to do is when we look at the greater than, it takes two integers. And the first integer, of course, is your first number. So when we say x is greater than y, we're talking about the x. Now in this case, we want to set the y first. So we need to flip the arguments around. So we place that into there, and we will call this on here. Didn't I give that a name? Let me just fix that because that greater. Oh, greater than. No, I didn't. Okay. So blah blah blah. Flip. So we will place the operator in here. So we flip our two integers around. So our x is in the y position and the y is in the x position. So we need to go and put a variable into there, and we go. This is called op greater than. So op greater than flipped. Don't know why it's putting 64 in there. It's a bit weird. We now need to set the 64, or our 60 in this case, to the first argument. Remember, of course, we flipped them around. So we put the op flipped into here, 60 into there. So now the first argument will be 60, and the second argument will be populated later. So we want to go op greater than 60, because that's all it needs to be. It just needs to be that. Take it out, put it back in, take it back out, because I don't know why I have to do that. A bit weird. And now what we're trying to do is we're trying to return all the items in our list here which are greater than our 60 number. As I said earlier, we have a set of items in here, but we need to convert them first, which we're going to use the op item size here to do by giving an item an integer. Now the way we have to do that is using a pipe, because we are converting the argument, or the return value from this needs to be used. So we apply that to there on op greater than 60. So of course now our second argument is now actually going to accept an item. So we go into there and we will say op item greater than 60. So of course now this here will be the main thing which will convert all these here into there. So last thing we need to do for this little bit is we'll go filter. And we want to filter out, we want to set up our final result there, which is our any item which is greater than 60 from our input chest. And we'll change this to filtered greater than 60. Make a variable card for it. Okay. So we've got a display panel here, And in the display panel, if we put filtered greater than 60, this will return a new list of all the items. And of course, currently it's got errors because it hasn't got the various things we need. So we'll put the op greater than 60 there. That's our constant. There's no constant there. There's our operators, the two of those. The flipped. So that's the op, flipped, and then converted. Now look here. You can see that in the chest it's connected to, which is this one, there are all these items. Which, so we've got Enderman Essence. So if we look in here, how many are higher than 60? Most of them are. We won't have any of these extra little chests here. But of course you can't see those. If we take out, say, that, so we put half, you won't see the Enderman Essence at the top. We have to take out the other ones, because as said, it will... So now of course you won't see any Enderman Essence at all. Okay, so our new list that we're using here will list all the items in here which are greater than 30. Put that back in there. And of course now we'll see Enderman Essence. And it is sorted on the order that they're in here. If you have multiple in here, multiple stacks, as you saw, we put those there, you will now have 2 Enderman Essences here. Which is why we couldn't filter on 128, because each stack is only 64 maximum. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to duplicate it, which you do by putting in the inventory here, next to another one. Make sure you put it next to another one, otherwise you'll reset it. And now, of course, we can put this guy back in. Use that one for now. Okay, so now, of course, when we come back here, we can say, okay, yes, we have Enderman Essence, Powerful Sprouts, Enderman Essence, Steel Essence, all that sort of stuff in the inventory. It's quite useful. And we could do some fancier things like actually say which item it is. But for now, let's go back up here. And what we need to do now is say item. If we go down to item at the bottom here, capital I, stick a variable card in here, and we will call this one the Diamond Essence. Diamond Essence. And we'll stick a Diamond Essence in there. That'll now set this card here to be a Diamond Essence. So we can now use it in a contains. And of course, this here looks at a list, and if you give an item, it'll then say, hey, is that in there? So if we go and we stick our filtered 60 in there, Diamond Essence, and we stick it in there, 63 again. Where that 63 is coming from? So we'll call this one have diamond. Stick that in there, take it out, stick it out, stick it out, take it out, take it out. There you go. And we'll do the same again with steel. These two variables will return true if we have more than the 60 in the thing. And of course, you saw how easy it is to add in more. We just need to find our item and then have a contains. So compared to the other one, we can easily extend it to do other things. So now, of course, I need to make sure this is the diamond one. So that is diamonds, yes. We'll stick that into there. It will complain because we haven't put these guys into here. So we can put the filtered in there because of course that's our final result. And these are once again definitions. And now of course it should say it's false because we don't have enough diamond essence in here. So let's take some of these guys out. Or actually, let's just take one of them out. I think the diamond's over. Where's the diamond here? So these are 64. Stick that into there. And now it should be false. And you can see it's listed on here. The top, second one down. We go into here, and it should now be true. Oh, no, it's still false. Okay. That didn't work the way I thought it would. Let me look into this for a second, and we're back in a sec. Okay, I can't quite work out why it doesn't recognize the item from the item in the chest to the item I've given it. So what I thought we'd do is map them around a little bit. So first thing we need to do is a operator, and we will look for the name, string name. If we give it the give it a variable name, and we'll call it op name. And what this function will do is it will give it any item or any named animal or anything. It will return the name of it as a string. And of course, it's not going to be able to complain about that. So we then go into here and we'll go map. It does add a slightly more complexity to it, but hopefully this will work. So put that into there. With our filtered, we'll give it another operator. Item names. Okay, so now we have this one here will be what we're checking against. And of course we'll also need a string now for the thing we're looking for. Steel essence. That's how you spell it, isn't it? E-S-S-E-N, yep. So we'll put that into there. We'll call it steel. Yes. Into there. Now of course we still need our contains, which I reset. So contains, which takes our list, so it's our new list. And of course we do the same thing with the steel essence. Yes. Have steel. So if we type that one into there, says true, we take the steel out, which is that one, and that one. False. So it looks like the string one actually works much better than the item one. How weird. Okay, well that makes things easy. Don't make that one. So the last thing we need to do, of course, is work out which one the steel is. This one, that's quartz. And that one there is steel. That's it. So we'll place this into there. Oh, take it out here first. Stick that into that one there, I think it was. Steel. And of course that will now automatically trigger if there is enough steel. Let's throw it back up for now. I'm going to go convert the rest of those around and I'll come back and do one last thing. Okay, so I've put all the pieces in. Now there was one other thing that was annoying me a little bit. And what I was going to do is just run that along here. And this chest currently has nothing in it, but what I'm going to do is grab the hose, which I thought I had more of. A little low on inventory space, but I'll get that out at the end of the episode. Yep. I was going to put the hose in here because I have to keep coming and replacing these, and going for each of them and working out which one's got hose is a pain. So what I'm going to do is set this guy here to extract on green channel, always without a signal, I should say. We stick that into there. Now, as I said, all of these will have their things on, and they should most be set to true now, because of course they have the maximum in our chest, which of course you can see here. And there's the display panel I lost. So the other thing I want to do in here is each of these, of course, is currently set to a color. We don't need that anymore. We could set it all back to, let's make it all brown, and change them to in and out. And we'll set the inset to green, which of course is from here. And we'll make the outs I think the brown. Yep, brown for the output. So just go through there and do that now. Okay, so that should do it. Goes into here, and it should instantly take one out, but all the others will remain. So go to here and one hoe. Awesome. Now, of course, the other thing I know is if we take out some of these, let's just empty it all. Hopefully, it'll start putting stuff in there. Oh, actually, what I haven't done yet, I have not told it that its color is brown. Brown. There we go. Look at that. And of course, as we get to 64, which shouldn't take too long, it will stop placing items in there. And what I'll do is I'll leave it for a little bit, and I'll come back in a moment when it's done. Okay, so there you go. 61, that's 60. 60. 60. 60. 60. 60. 60. Yeah, it looks like we have got 60, at least 60 of each essence in there. And everything has stopped. Which means it's working. So what I'm going to do is tidy this up a little bit, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so it's looking a lot more tidy down here. Yeah, it's cobblestone, but the whole thing's made of cobblestone at the top, so you might as well make it out of cobblestone to go down here as well. I can see there's a slight visual glitch when I'm in F5 mode with the integrated dynamics cabling, but otherwise not too bad. I've left the ME looking blocks there because I think they just look remembrance of an old mod that doesn't look like it's coming back. But I think I'll end the episode here. Hopefully we've covered everything off and you could understand the video. If you have learned anything and you're going to use this in your own setup, please do hit the like button. If you've got questions, comments, suggestions, constructive feedback, any of that sort of stuff, leave a comment down below. If you're new to the channel and like what you saw, hit that subscribe button. But otherwise, have a great day, and see ya!